Samuel Adams. Savor the flavor responsibly.
Jalen Jacoby is presented by Samuel Adams.
He's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do, Jalen Rose?
We give the people what they want.
We have an indication that the Patriots could trade their best player. We also will be joined by none other than Buffalo's own Benny the Butcher. The Butcher is coming. But we start with some really interesting news in the NBA. Daryl Morey is soon to join the Philadelphia 76ers as the president of basketball operations, meaning Elton Brand stays as the GM. Daryl Morey wheels and deals and flips rosters routinely. Jalen, what do you think this could mean for the Sixers roster?
I think this is a great hire for Philly. The one thing that Daryl was able to do in Houston was acquire James Harden when he was the sixth man in OKC, turn him into a max player and an MVP candidate. The genius of Mike D'Antoni was to put the ball in James Harden's hands when he was playing like a traditional shooting guard, and then he became a 30-point scorer that could also lead the league in assists. But what Daryl Morey was not able to do, Jacoby, is show that his micro ball can actually win when it mattered the most. And they had a couple of times in a couple of playoff series where that style fizzled out. So now you put him in Philadelphia, you totally gutted the Rockets roster. So now if you're Daryl Morey, what moves can you initially make to change the dynamics of Philadelphia instantly? And they're going to be looking at Joel Embiid versus Ben Simmons. If I'm Daryl Morey, I try to find a way to parlay Joel Embiid for Russell Westbrook and/or PJ Tucker. In Houston, they're going to have to play more traditionally. So therefore, you have James with the ball on the perimeter, and you have Embiid as his big. In the Eastern Conference, you have two guys in Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook that no one is ever going to stop from getting to the basket.
Nope.
No one. Both of those guys have found ways to not be able to shoot jump shots and still basically flirt with triple doubles, and Russell's been an MVP of the league. And you say, well, that's not Morey ball. Morey ball is actually also getting layups and dunks and getting to the free throw line. Those two guys do that too. We get so enamored in the three-point shot. You got to remember, they played against the Golden State Warriors and missed 27 in a row when it mattered the most. You can't solely rely on the three. So if you got two of those guys that can play make in the East, Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons in the East, when do they play the Nets? When do they play the Nets? When do they play the Celtics? When do they play the Heat? I'm here for this. And so if I'm Daryl Morey with Doc Rivers, I try to find a way to parlay Embiid. People are going to be saying Simmons, but he's healthier. Embiid has had an injury issue. He can't really practice every game. He's going to have load management, but he's an all NBA talent. Anybody wants Joel Embiid on their team. And so if I'm Morey, that's what I'm considering doing.
Very interesting. So you're considering an Embiid for Westbrook trade. And one thing that's interesting about Embiid, which is not necessarily in lockstep with Daryl Morey's basketball ethos, is Embiid scores a lot out of the post. They post him up a lot. And as you notice in the NBA, especially a Daryl Morey team, not a lot of post-ups, a lot more pick and rolls. And a Westbrook-Simmons duo would certainly lend itself to more of a Daryl Morey-style basketball that I'm sure Doc Rivers would be happy with. But one thing you have to remember with Daryl Morey in this role, along with Elton Brand, is if you look at the contracts that the Philadelphia 76ers have committed to already with their big four players, they are tied up. They look at all this money that they have tied up over the next 3 seasons. Those are big numbers. Al Horford is making $27 million. So Daryl Morey, in order to really make an impact on the roster, is going to have to try to get off one of these. and Embiid to Houston for Westbrook would certainly be interesting. However, if I'm Houston and I see Daryl Morey's phone come up on my phone, I'm not answering the phone call because I've spent the last 10 years watching him make trades on my behalf and try to rip off other teams and get undervalued players. I'm not going to allow him to do the same thing to me that he has just done for me. There is also some news for those Houston Rockets. They now have a head coach, and that comes in the form of Stephen Silas. Jalen, what does Stephen Silas' hire tell you about the Rocket situation?
I'm happy for him, and he did a terrific job as the assistant with the Mavs. Look at players like Luka Doncic as a young point guard that has basically established himself as a top 10 player in the game. And when you watch the Mavs actually play, when you look deeper into their team, it's like, wait a minute, Trey Burke wasn't in the league, and now he's balling in the bubble? Tim Hardaway Jr. is actually playing really well. And so that development that they've been able to do from within has a lot to do with his assistant coaching. And so he deserves an opportunity as a head coach. And now I believe he's going to play more traditional basketball, meaning how other teams are playing in today's game, pace and space, but not have a center that's 6'5". How about that?
We will certainly look to them to upgrade at that position. Love PJ Tucker, but he's probably more of a natural 4 than a 5. Jalen, I'm a bit obsessed with real estate. I love looking at my apps to see what's available out there, even though I don't have Jalen Rose money to actually make any moves. However, if you live in the Boston area and you were looking at Zillow, a very interesting post just recently went up, and that is the home of that man, Gilmore. The best player on the Patriots put his home, that home, in Foxborough up for just under $1 million. Jalen, could this mean that he either wants to be traded or is going to be traded because he is now committed $17.7 million against the cap next year that I'm sure the Patriots would like to get off? Do you think that Gilmore putting his house up
in my head
means that he's getting traded?
It's called I've Been There, I Done That. That's Dr. Dre, right? I've been there, dog. Member of the Pacers. All of a sudden, it's like, what? I'm not starting? Like, oh, okay. House for sale. See, this is way before like social media and stuff. And I've told you guys, when you go into this season with Cam Newton on a 1-year deal as your contract, on the contract, Jarrett Stidham at his backup, and Brian Hoyer, y'all ain't been paying attention to the fact that the Patriots are tanking? Like, that's what they're doing. It's great if Cam plays well. Boom, we caught lightning in a bottle. We'll turn that distressed asset into something else. But we've seen the Gilmores before Gilmore. What about Darrelle Revis, Hakeem Talib? When they wanted to turn the team over, that was a position that they did it with. Ty Law, Lawyer Malloy, that's what they have done. And so for a guy that's been Defensive Player of the Year, you want to sell high on a team that's not going to meet 6-time championship level expectation. No surprises here. No harm, no foul. And if you're in the Boston area, take that crib off of his hands. Take that crib off of his hands. Give him a chance to go somewhere else and get him another Super Bowl ring.
It's a nice house.
Don't be like me playing in Chicago. Don't be like me playing in Chicago and still got my house in Indiana.
After a loss, a Bengal, Carlos Dunlap, did something similar. He put his house up over social media, and then he was traded to the Seahawks. And let's just take a look at what he posted on social media recently, because you have to see this. There is him in the backfield causing problems. But Jalen, one thing that's important is the perks that come with a job, especially when you've been there for a long time. And one of the perks that Carlos Dunlap had with the Bengals was the #1 parking spot in the lot at the facility, and he no longer has that. This is what he posted on social media. He takes the sign and takes it right off and says, it took me 10 years to earn the first parking spot, and he no longer needs it. Jalen, what does this post tell you about Dunlap?
Let me tell you what this post tells me about Dunlap. He going to Seattle. He going to Seattle. He going to Seattle. Did I say that again? He going to Seattle. Do they still have Pete Carroll? Do they still have Russell?
They do.
Did they add Jamal Adams this offseason?
Yes, they
Carson in the backfield? Rocket
their
to
only
lock it
weakness is having a
outside
pass
with
rush.
my guy Metcalf? Okay, do they still got Bobby Wagner? He going to play with them. So he upgraded. Congratulations, big fella. Take that with you.
I love the fact that he had to post the parking spot because I'm sure he was so proud of that. Because Jalen, I know you like these kind of perks around the office. You want your own office and you want to sit over here and have this taken care of for you. And you know that he was so proud to have those perks. But do you know what he will trade? He'll trade all those perks for a chance to play for the Seahawks and really contend for a Super Bowl this year in the NFC instead of watching Joe Burrow develop. Jalen, Gronk is back to his old self. The last couple games, he's scored touchdowns, he's had multiple receptions, and now he's back to his old goofy self with the sound bites. Take it away, Gronk.
It's like a saying my mom used to say, it must be maple syrup because butter don't drizzle like that. You know, you don't got much time to react, and syrup drizzles. You got to make that play. And a stick of butter, it's a block. You got to put it in the microwave to melt it. That just takes too long. You got to make that play right away, baby. And that's why, that's why I'm like the maple syrup. That's why she used to always say that, because I'm quick with it. I just drizzle all over the place.
Wow. First off, that was him discussing catching a back shoulder fade pass from Tom Brady. But however, there's one thing that I do agree with him. While that didn't make any sense whatsoever, butter is extremely difficult to work with. If you take it out of the fridge, it's too cold, it's too hard, you gotta use two hands to cut it, you can't spread it on a piece of toast. I really feel like butter needs to be easier to work with, and I am with Gronk. Drizzle over butter every day of the week. Your thoughts?
There's something with cooking and eating that's called planning, which means you can actually take the butter out prior to eating, so therefore it's not cold when you decide to use it with your meal, number one. Number two, if you don't have the time to melt some butter, that's a level of privilege I just can't understand. I just can't relate to that. I don't understand. What do you mean it takes too long?
It takes too long. It's actually the opposite of privilege because I'm so busy because I have to work so hard. I'm not just rich and taken care of like you. That's the difference. You probably have someone that takes the butter out of the fridge for you. That's probably how you are living in your palace. Jalen.
Sometimes.
I have 3 words for you. 4 words. The butcher is coming. Benny the Butcher joins us right here on Jalen and Jacoby. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned.
Big Griselda.
Jalen and Jacoby.
Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, what does our next guest have?
Bars!
We are now joined. Buffalo's own, Griselda's own, Benny the Butcher joins us on Jalen and Jacoby. Thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. What's up, fellas?
Now, we will get to your new album, Burden of Proof, but first we want to start with what's happening in Buffalo right now with the Buffalo Bills. What is the vibe in the city? How does it feel to have the Bills playing well?
You know, everybody love it, man. Everybody feel like Josh Allen is a stud. We trust in Sean McDermott, his offense. And the morale in the city is high thanks to the Bills, man. As fans, we still supporting, even though there's no fans in the stadium. We outside the stadium. We traveling with the team still. Man, the morale is high, man. They doing a lot for the city. Go Bills.
Shout to Conway the Machine, West Side Gun. You guys always put on for Buffalo. You always shout out the Bills. And you always talk about, even in your music, being a true fan is somebody that's willing to go sit out and support your team in the cold. So now that you guys have Stephon Diggs, you think Josh Allen's going to be that guy to take you one day to the Super Bowl like Jim Kelly did and possibly win it?
Man, I think so. You know what I'm saying? The AFC East is looking thin right now. And, the more Josh and Stephon get to play together, the more synergy they're going to get. So, man, we believe it. Everything is looking up for us. We believe anything can happen.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of people don't draw the connection between Khalil Mack and Buffalo. What is the connection between Khalil Mack and Buffalo?
Man, he did a lot for us at UB. You know what I'm saying? We used to go to those games and watch Khalil Mack. Watch him do his thing at UB, man. He's been a man-child. He's been terrorizing things in Western New York, man. We just happy for him and the success that he having in the NFL, man. He's a stud, too.
I hit up my Buffalo contacts, and they told me that the woman on the WWCD album cover is a known face around Buffalo that hangs out on the same corner all the time. Why did you decide to put her on the album?
Man, it's almost like an inside thing for people from Buffalo. Claire, her name Claire, she's like a staple in the city. Everybody know her, no matter what part of town you from, what color you are, everybody knows Claire. Everybody greet her, she greets everybody. So it was like our thing, a thing of ours moment when the whole city seen her on the cover and the whole city seen her face plastered all over Times Square. It was like a Buffalo thing, like, okay, like Buffalo, we really doing something. We got Claire up there in Times Square, so it was almost like an inside joke thing, but man, the people reacted to it crazy.
Well, it's great to see you, Shannon. You don't mind lifting up your chain a little bit for the audience to see, because I want to ask you an important question, because you wanted to wear those jewels one day, and you was listening to some of your favorite groups of all time. So I must ask you, please let us know your 5 favorite rap groups of all time.
Let's go in no particular order. We got you gotta go to the Wu, you gotta go to W, and then you have to go to Mobb Deep, rest in peace, Prodigy. You have to go to the Locks. Those guys raised me too. I went on tour with those guys when I was still living in the projects, man. And then you have to go to Run DMC. My pops used to play these dudes so much. My pops used to have the speaker in his backseat of his car. You know what I'm saying? And we ride and we listen to Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? Then the last one, it kind of fluctuates, man. You got a lot of dudes, man. You got guys like Outkast. You got guys like I could have said like Gangstar. Right. Just so many groups. Throwbacks. Right. Just so many groups that affect me. I had to go back because there's just so many groups that affected me growing up and musically that, you know what I'm saying? I got to include them.
Burden of Proof is out right now. Bars! Can you let our audience know some of the people that are featured on there?
Burden of Proof out right now, all streaming platforms. I got Rick Ross on there. My partner, Freddie Gibbs on there. I got Queen Naija on there. I got Dom Kennedy on there, Westside Gun, Conway the Machine. Oh my goodness, Lil Wayne, Big Sean. So I got a lot of good features on there, man. It's a good project for y'all to check out.
Wow, what a list of features on Burden of Proof. Who is an artist that you were looking forward to working with that you haven't worked with yet?
Man, I get asked this question a lot, and I hate saying it, but Jay-Z is my favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? And it's like my mentor lately. I want to get one in with him. I want to get one in with the big homie. I think that'd be legendary. I still got work to do, though.
Well, we rock family. I anticipate that's going to happen. You got the number 1 album. Congratulations. Jalen and Jacoby is your home turf. Feel free to come back and kick it with us anytime.
Anytime.
Oh, man, I appreciate y'all boys, man.
Of course. Benny the Butcher, Burden of Proof is out now. Stay tuned. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby.
By Samuel Adams. From Boston with love. Savor the flavor responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Justin Fields and Ohio State Buckeyes head into State College to play Penn State Nittany Lions. That is a number 3 versus number 18 Big Ten big matchup, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. While all indications are that Big Ten matchup will be happening, there is one that will not. Wisconsin, Nebraska has been canceled due to COVID-19 complications. Jalen, I know you've got your eye on all the Big Ten football games. What do you think about this development?
I like that they're trying to create an honor system and stick to it. If it's the backup linebacker or if it's the starting quarterback, the rule is the same. Unlike the Dodgers and how they handled their post-game celebration by winning the World Series. You're dealing with students that are athletes and you're trying to protect them at all costs.
I think this is extremely important to be as cautious as possible with COVID-19. While many people are asymptomatic, there are definitely people, especially young people and those at risk, that can have serious health implications that could last a lifetime. I wish everyone the best of health, and I'll be happy that Michigan's going to play because I'm rooting for the Wolverines. And, Jalen, we have some football this evening. It is the Falcons against the Panthers. And, Jalen, there's something really interesting happening here. The Falcons are saying, we're not going to try to trade for Julio Jones. We would never trade Julio Jones. We would never trade Matt Ryan. However, seems like there are some teams that would give up some draft picks and some assets and some things that would help the Falcons rebuild if they put Julio Jones on the trading block. Do you think they should trade Julio Jones?
Absolutely not. You don't trade Julio Jones, Jacoby. But however, you do reevaluate Matt Ryan. That's who's under evaluation right now. You keep Ridley, you keep Jones. The receivers aren't their issue. And I'm pretty sure that ownership understands that. But either way, the new GM and the new coach are going to ultimately decide the future of the team.
Jalen, I still am flabbergasted that this Falcons team handed your Lions a victory by scoring a touchdown accidentally. This Falcons team is finding new and exciting ways to lose football games, unlike any other team I've seen in the history of the NFL.
That used to
but
be
you know
us.
What?
That used to be us.
I'm happy that you guys were the benefactors of Todd Gurley accidentally scoring a touchdown. And we now have new footage where Matt Ryan explicitly looks at Gurley right in the face and says, don't score, get the first down and go down in the huddle. And Gurley just can't help himself. He goes down. I want to thank Benny the Butcher for coming by. Make sure you listen to the podcast where we have exclusive content with Benny the Butcher. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Black Soprano family, BSC.